travel earned, Paimon. What a fantastic night. I'm still immersed in all the happiness and joy, like a candle floating on water.
So are we, and that's why we're here to talk with you.
Is there anything you want to know? You mean, what happened after the doctor put you to sleep? Not exactly. The top-ranked Fatui Harbingers, up to number 3, possess power comparable to that of gods. I was no match for him in that kind of situation. However, in spite of the bad situation, I still managed to make a fair deal with the doctor. I'm sure you remember the entity that changed your fate, the Heavenly Principles. In fact, the Heavenly Principles has been quiet since the Conria disaster 500 years ago. I used this point as leverage against the doctor. I told him that the Heavenly Principles may be awakened if I destroy the Gnosis. Although it was just a bluff, he still fell for it. I assumed that the Heavenly Principles wouldn't just stand by and let such extensive damage to its laws take place. And as for what I exchanged for the Gnosis, the exchange served as both punishment for the doctor as well as a boon of new knowledge that I couldn't refuse as the god of wisdom. After recent events, the Akasha can no longer function as it used to. I've given it some thought, and have decided to shut it down permanently. But this is definitely not a bad thing. Even from the beginning, I've been planning to shut it down. The Akasha's centralized administration of knowledge has always restrained people's curiosity and curtailed the number of paths available to them. I don't think this is good for Sumeru. Although people may initially feel a little uncomfortable with the loss of the Akasha, they will soon understand that this life is more suitable for them. And as for the future of Sumeru, I'm preparing to regain control of the academia. The former sages have received their punishment, but the new sages have yet to be selected. I will oversee the process personally. I hope that the new 6th grade sages will be more focused on academics. Sumeru needs such leaders more than ever. The other big issue is the people of King Deshret. All the residents of the desert, in fact. They have been mistreated for far too long. I've already taken some measures to address this. It will take some time to rebuild everything, but no matter if it's culture, friendship, or trust, we will rebuild it. Is that where you're headed next? Fontaine, the Nation of Justice? As far as I know, that nation operates in a judicial system.
Does their Archon personally judge people?
No, there's a Chief Justice in Fontaine. Generally speaking, the Hydra Archon, Focalor, won't preside over individual trials. However, even then, Focalor will still make herself present at just about every trial. It seems that she just likes to immerse herself in that sort of atmosphere. As Archon, she still reserves the right to influence the final verdict. Anyway, let's just say she's got, a very unique personality. He's still in a coma. I've hidden him like how one would hide a feather. I know you have many misgivings about him, but as someone who had become a god, he has retained a number of very useful features. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on him and make sure he doesn't do any evil. In addition, there are still some mysteries left in him. Some things may be very clear from my perspective, but he has still yet to understand them himself. His future will be determined by fate. Are you sure? Isn't there something else you haven't asked about yet?
Huh? You mean...
About your sister. While you were resting at Gandharvaville, I took some time to perform an Irminsul search for information on your sister.
Yeah! Isn't Irminsul a repository for all the information and memories of Tuvat? So there shouldn't be anything on him or his sister.
This is true in your case. Irminsul indeed does not have any information on you. However, there must be something different about your sister. Because, as it turns out, the world has recorded information on her after all.
What?
There is only one possible explanation. She belongs to this world.
But nothing about this makes any sense. Wasn't this your first trip to Teyvat?
According to the records I was able to access, your sibling suddenly appeared in Conria. After the Conria disaster, she began her journey through the 7 nations of Teyvat. But just as her journey was about to reach its conclusion, the Irminsul records on her suddenly become fuzzy.
What do you mean, fuzzy? Did something happen to her?
All I know for sure is that somebody, for reasons only they can know, is deliberately obfuscating her fate. And whoever it is, if they can do that, who knows what else they're capable of.
But even that wouldn't explain how she somehow comes from this world.
Something else I noticed was that according to these records, the Fatui have not classified your sibling as one of the Descenders.
What's a Descender? Paimon's never heard of it.
Look, I'm sure you must be curious about the information I received from the Fatui in return for my gnosis, right? A very important part of the intel was about this world's Descenders. External beings, ones that don't belong to this world. Traveler, you are Teyvat's 4th Descender.
Huh? So the Fatui count 3 other Descenders before the Traveler, and his sister isn't even one of them?
That's right. My current hypothesis is that the first Descender was likely what we now call the Heavenly Principles. As for the other Descenders, I still need to verify their existence. It could take me some time.
Paimon's head's about to burst from all this crazy new information.
And yet, even knowing all this, I'm sure you must still have a lot of unanswered questions. I must say, I truly regret that I can't help you more as the God of Wisdom. There are many questions in my heart as well. I will need some time to go through each one of them. And soon, you'll also begin your journey anew and depart from Sumeru. I'm very interested in your future. It's a journey that can't be observed or recorded by this world. If fate is the ultimate knowledge, then your future will be the ultimate fate.
Paimon's sure glad we got to meet you, Nahida.
The pleasure is all mine. I can't thank you enough. Alright, that's enough talk for today. If you ever miss me, just close your eyes, and maybe I'll appear in your dreams.
You must have a whole bunch of questions after our last conversation with Nahida. Paimon was ready to ask her a million more questions, but didn't want to seem too pushy. Like, about these Descenders. So, does that just mean people like you who come traveling to Teyvat from someplace else? And as for your sister... Whew, so many questions. Let's go find Nahida and see what else we can find out.
Come on, serious suggestions, please. I'm not trying to write a thriller here. It's supposed to be an essay, you understand? An essay. That means facts and logic.
Well, if it's facts and logic you're after, you shot yourself in the foot with your choice of research topic, didn't you? The Totara Suna mystery. When so much remains unexplained, there's little to be objective about. Unless, of course, you restrict yourself to textual criticism.
Yeah, well, this is my teacher's area of research. I can't change that. But it's fascinating enough without having to sensationalize it, don't you think? The strange location, the missing details, a mysterious person. I want to write my essay on something interesting, and I'm interested in getting to the bottom of all this. That's the only reason I came to you.
Yes, you came to me, so all the more reason to take my advice. The fact is, it's the dramatization that will make people want to read it. There's no getting around that.
Okay, but...
Did one of them just mention Totara Suna? But that's all the way in Inazuma! Is it just Paimon, or is it kinda unusual for someone in Sumeru to want to write a paper about that? Everyone here's just going about their business. Maybe it really is just Paimon. Guess people here are free to research pretty much anything. Great! Let's go find out what this Totara Suna mystery is all about.
Alright, I guess I'll go with my textual criticism and your editorial direction for the first draft. I have a feeling that the missing Kabuki Mono will end up being the main focus of this paper. Ugh, if only we knew where to find that traveler. From what they say about him, this seems like the kind of thing he'd know about.
Oh, you're the traveler, you say?
Hey, what's with that face? Don't believe us?
No, of course I believe you. Actually, I first heard about your great exploits when I was still in Inazuma. This is my first time coming face to face with you and your mysterious silver-haired companion. I couldn't believe my luck, and out of force of habit, I started, examining the evidence. Sorry.
Sawada, for the love of... Sorry, we don't get out much, so our social skills are kinda lacking. Traveler, I hear you've helped many people a great deal and been to many places. Would you be able to tell us about Totara Suna?
Actually, we don't know much about that place either. In fact, we only came over here because we heard you talking about it and wanted to learn more.
I see. My teacher chose this area of research as a personal challenge. He said it's difficult to get into because even Inazumans don't know much about Totara Suna's past. But who'd have thought that...
If you don't mind, I'd love to show you all my outline for the book I'm writing about Totara Suna.
Hold on, Sawada. Don't you think that's a bit of a deep dive for a first read?
Well, fair point. In that case, please ease yourselves in gently by taking a look at Akaba's latest essay draft.
Let me give you some background. This all started with the discovery of some records in Totara Suna. The writings mentioned someone by the name of Mikoshi Nagamasa, who crafted a fine blade. But in the end, he threw it into a fire to destroy it, and killed his servant Katsuragi. Why? Well, no one knows. Apart from the swordmaker, his servant, and the one who wrote this all down, the records also mention a Kabuki Mono. This seems to be an Inazuman word for an eccentric stranger, someone who dresses funny or acts in an unusual way.
That's right. Akaba's teacher has spent quite some time researching these events on the ground. This Kabuki Mono lived in Totara Suna for a while before disappearing without a trace. And shortly afterwards, as Akaba mentioned, things got pretty ugly.
So first this strange person goes missing, then a murder happens? Seems kind of fishy to Paimon.
Yes, my thoughts exactly. So I helped out too. I asked everyone I could think of if they knew anything about what happened back then. And wow, did I get lucky!
Stop shouting!
This part's important. I just wanted to make it stand out. It just so happens that a friend of mine works at the government records office. He looked into it for me, and I can now confirm that all the aforementioned individuals did, in fact, live in Inazuma over 400 years ago. Even back then, Tatarasuna was already at the center of Inazuma's smelting industry. The man in charge was a government official named Niwa. Curiously enough, it seems like he went missing too.
Wait, so there are 2 missing people in this story now?
That's right! What's more, Niwa is a name with a lot of history to it. Have you ever heard of the great swordsmith clans of Inazuma?
Oh, the swordsmiths? Yeah, like Ishin art and so on?
Wow, yes. You really know your stuff. That makes things easier. So basically, this Niwa was a distant relative of the Kaidahara clan, the last practitioners of Ishin art. Something then seems to have happened in the Kaidahara clan, leading to their downfall. I don't know the details, but taken in light of everything else going on around that time, it makes you wonder whether it's all connected somehow.
The Kaidahara clan?
Sawada, you left out the biggest detail of all.
Oh, yes, of course. How could I forget? Brace your minds, ladies and gents, for they are about to be blown.
Get to the point, for Pete's sake.
According to information acquired by Akaba's teacher, the Kabukimono was not a human, but a puppet.
A puppet?
Aha! Judging by the looks on your faces, you do know something after all.
No! Paimon just meant, how creepy. The way you described it makes it...
I agree, it does. But considering that non-human races in Inazuma are by no means uncommon, spooky events are to be expected. And that's exactly...
And please read my essay draft as well. Sawada was encouraging me to follow his more creative approach, but I think essays should be grounded in facts. I don't think explaining everything away with mysterious forces will cut it. Oh, how about if I plug the holes in Sawada's narrative with political intrigue? Like, I could put a turf war between rival factions at the center of the whole series of events.
Wait, you're allowed to just make stuff up? Pretty sure you've gone from essay to guessay there.
Akaba, look. Your teacher has researched this extensively. I've reached out to everyone I could think of. Whatever information we have now is all that there is to know. This is as much detail as you're ever going to get. Besides, if there really was a political power struggle going on at anything like the level you seem to be suggesting, what hope would we ever have of finding out the truth?
Good point. Okay, back to the drawing board, I guess. Give me some time. I need to find a new angle on this.
We have some other stuff to do, so we'll have to say goodbye for now. Good luck with your essay!
All right, thank you. If you find out any more info about all this, please do let me know. Thank
Hey, so that thing they were talking about, it has to do with the balladeer, doesn't it? Okay, then even if we did know something about it, we probably couldn't share it with them, huh? After all, we kicked his butt and got him locked up. Information about people like that is usually super confidential, isn't it? If you ask Paimon, Akaba should just pick a different topic. There must be as many essay topics as there are trees in the forest. There's no point in... Hey, did you see that? He literally just went by, over there. It looked like... the balladeer! No, it can't have been. He got locked up. Oh, quick, let's catch up and see.
Traveler, Paimon, there you are.
Nahida! Bad news. We just saw the balladeer strolling around in public. Did he escape or... Ah! It's him!
Sure enough, you're here.
Hey! What are you doing in the sanctuary of Surasthana? Aren't you supposed to be laughed at?
I know you must have a lot of questions. Please, allow me to explain. It was my idea to set the balladeer free. We made a deal, and he's gonna do some investigation in Irminsul for me.
A deal? Huh. You sure you trust this guy?
What did you expect? Why do you think Sumeru would keep me around otherwise? Or maybe killing me is all you can think about. But if that's the case, why haven't you done it already?
Don't flatter yourself. It was... Nahida said there's still some mysteries in you to figure out.
Ah, so if it were up to you, you'd finish the job? Guess I had you all wrong. There I was thinking you were just getting cold feet.
Well, that escalated quickly. Not a good start. Could I ask you all to please calm down?
But Paimon's worried about you, Nahida. Don't let him trick you.
It's not every day you see people questioning the God of Wisdom's judgment. Just when you think you've seen it all.
Don't you dare try to drive a wedge between us!
As long as the terms are reasonable, I don't think there's a problem in making a deal. Even with the balladeer.
Well, I for one have no reason to doubt you. Considering you even struck a deal with the doctor.
Yes, one in which I gained valuable information. You'll come to understand more about that in the fullness of time. The balladeer's power was all but completely spent after your battle. He's no longer strong enough to be a strategic threat to us. That puts him in quite a precarious position. Plus, he's a former harbinger with knowledge of many of the Fatui's sensitive secrets. Being stuck here in Sumeru could make him a sitting duck, depending on how the Fatui plan to respond.
Wait lang po. Hindi mo na nilagyan?
Wait a second. Farmer? You mean he's not a harbinger anymore?
I take no pleasure in saying this, but it seems as if the doctor had no intention of welcoming back a loser, so...
Sometimes it's you using them, other times it's them using you. Most human relationships are this way. Certainly all the stable ones are. That's how it was between me and the Fatui. And also between each of the Harbingers. So as long as you have some value to offer, nobody will ever abandon you. But after recent events, even I have to admit that I'm not worth quite what I used to be. Well, if the Fatui are gonna reevaluate my utility, I need to have a backup plan for myself.
As we discussed, I don't like causing harm to living beings, and you said you need protection. So, why not join forces with us?
I think these two have made their objection to that idea fairly clear, don't you? And they're your friends, so I guess you'll be siding with them.
Yeah, obviously! Nahida, don't listen to him!
Then let's put that discussion to the side for now. We still have time. Today can be a trial run. Where we go from here will depend on how well we manage to cooperate today.
All right, then I'll do what we agreed.
Good. Go now, and keep in touch.
Nahida, are you serious about this?
Yes. I have my reasons for this decision. In fact, I'm largely doing it for your benefit. Yes. As I told you once before, there's information about your twin in Irminsul.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's the whole reason we came to see you today. So, you have an update on that?
Mm-hmm. You may remember me mentioning that the Fatui had not included your twin's details in the Descender category. This is an extremely important point. It's possible that the Fatui have other information that even I don't know about. And since the Balladeer used to be one of them, he'll be better acquainted with this information than I am. He was granted the power to connect with Irminsul when he almost became the god of a new era. Even though he no longer has the Gnosis, some traces of its power remain in him. He can still connect. The amount of information in Irminsul is vast beyond description. Sifting through all of it without knowing what to look for would take too long, even for me. So I asked the Balladeer to search in Irminsul for any information about the Descenders. He's more familiar with this kind of information, and should be able to find it more quickly.
Exactly! Or what if... Paimon just doesn't trust him! He's treated us as enemies every time we've run into him!
I understand. But sometimes, everything is dictated by which side you're on. How things will go in the future depends on what information he brings back. And Traveler, I know what your heart desires most of all. Our minds have connected several times before. There is a corner of your heart reserved for an intense longing. A feeling of being all alone in the dark, searching for the one candle whose light still burns. As Sumeru's deity, it is my responsibility to be on guard against the Balladeer. But as someone who counts you as a friend, I want to do something for you. If this deal with the Balladeer can give you the answers you've been longing to find, then it's worth it. It's my pleasure, really. You're Sumeru's hero. You've more than earned it.
Paimon's still worried about this idea. Is there anything we can do to help?
I was going to contact you about that, but then you suddenly showed up on your own accord. It seems like we have a telepathic connection. In fact, I was going to ask you to supervise the Balladeer on my behalf while he carries out the task I assigned. Even though he only has a fraction of his full power left, that's still a fraction of a former Harbinger. If you could accompany him, it would put my mind at ease. Of course, I'll be there to help guide you through Irminsul from the outside. Great. Thank you. Prepare yourselves. I'm going to transport you into Irminsul.
Wow! It looks pretty different here compared to last time. The colors are gentler. Guess that must be because Sumeru's at peace now.
Look at that. Hot on my heels. You know, you didn't have to cut your catch-up short just to keep me company. Oh, but I guess you panicked when you realized that I might enter Irminsul ahead of you.
Shut your beak, jailbird! No way a prisoner gets to be so smug!
I understand that prisoners have to put up with harassment from the guards. But right now, I'm on temporary release. So maybe you should think about backing off a little.
Sounds like a successful rendezvous. I need to be quite clear about something. In a few moments, you'll be entering into the innermost region of Irminsul. It is an environment like no other, and the most important place in all of Sumeru. Unlike anywhere else, Irminsul's inner region consists exclusively of torrents of information. You must put aside your differences and be extremely careful as you navigate your way through. I know there are many grievances between you, on both sides, but it is essential that you remain calm after entry. This is as much for your own safety as anything else.
Fine. Let's call it truce. But only until this mission's over.
Let's cut each other a little slack, shall we? We are gonna be traveling together after all. Per my agreement with Lesser Lord Kusanali, I'll be at the front. It's my job to lead the way and get rid of any obstacles in our path. All you have to do is keep your pretty eyes open and try not to fall behind.
You sure are confident. Paimon will give you that. You make it sound like you're even more experienced at adventuring than us.
If there are no further objections, I suggest we get going. Or did you need some time to mentally prepare yourselves?
Ew! Ugh, the snark on this guy. It's unbearable.
We can start now.
Irminsul access granted. Initiating connection procedure.
Is this a small sapling? Oh, darn it! Come on, let's catch up with him. Wow. So this is the inside of Irminsul. Ooh. Paimon's never seen anything like this. And it feels like a sacred place.
Irminsul is closely intertwined with the entirety of Teyvat. Every bit of information flowing here means something. Pick your jaws up off the floor. It's time to go.
Why is it that Paimon just wants to do the opposite of everything he says?
Lesser Lord Kusanali, we will now proceed to the heart of Irminsul.
Can you still sense where the heart of Irminsul is?
Yes. Permission to begin searching for information there?
Permission granted. Go ahead.
Let's go. Stay close. Don't go running off.
Hey, so... say we did go running off in here. What would happen? What are you smirking at?
I was just imagining the look on your travel companion's face if you went and got lost. Anything's possible in here. You can't rule anything out. So if you want to stay safe, your best option is to stick close to me.
These sapling things have spread out.
Those are all packets of information from inside Irminsul. Be careful not to touch them.
It looks the same in every direction. No wonder he mentioned about getting lost. Huh. What do you know? He was actually telling the truth. Is he mocking me again? What is it this time?
There's a time and a place to lie, but this definitely isn't it. So why don't you relax your guard a little? We're here.
What a huge tree!
Lesser Lord Kusanali.
Good, you made it. Are you ready?
Ready when you are.
Then please begin. Preparing to access cognitive currents. Establishing waypoint.
The Balladier's actually doing what Nahida tells him. Guess he must want to stay alive.
The rest is up to you. If you discover anything at all, make sure to share it with us.
Will do.
For once, we're the ones with nothing to do.
Traveler, Paimon, would you like to talk? Yes, I've also invited Paimon to join.
Huh? What the? We can talk to each other inside our heads?
That's part of it. Plus, we're all friends. There's nothing wrong with us talking like this once in a while.
Paimon's never tried this before. This is great! So, Paimon's been wanting to ask you something. Don't you think the Balladeer's a bit of a walking contradiction? He's always talking back, but he seems to listen to what you say.
As I've told you before, there are still some mysteries for him to resolve. Things that are clear as day to me, but that he has yet to understand. Perhaps today will be the day that he finds some answers. Well done. Smart and attentive as always. So, you made contact with that part of his mind. Well, it's true. Betrayal turned the Balladeer into the person he is today.
Huh. Paimon thought nothing could get under that guy's skin. Turns out, he can get hurt and angry just like anyone else.
Everyone has a history, Paimon. Even if you're a puppet created by the Electro Archon.
Speaking of puppets, we ran into two people at the Academia today talking about an essay. Turns out their topic was about the Tatarasuna incident. Nahida, do you know anything about that?
If you mean the mysterious events, the Kabuki Mono and so on, yes. I know about all of that.
Really? Because from what they were saying, it sounded like lots of Tatarasuna's history is still unexplained. And most of the information we have now is just from people filling the gaps with their imagination. At least that's what they thought.
Oh? How interesting. Those two managed to deduce quite a lot through guesswork alone.
So the Gesse got it right?
Well, they guessed right about one thing. Tatarasuna was sabotaged.
Must be a riveting conversation you three are having. Funny how all the good ones happen when I'm not involved.
What makes you think we're talking to each other?
Don't insult me. You're having a private conversation without me. Obviously, I must be the topic of said conversation. Of course you do. You can't have your prisoner knowing too much.
So, have you found anything yet?
Still looking. Don't get your hopes up, though. You and your twin come from outside this world. It wouldn't surprise me if there was nothing on either of you in Irminsul at all.
Wait! How did you know about that? Did Nahida tell you?
It's not like we've never met before. And anyway, you're world famous. It'd be more surprising if I didn't know a few things about you. Right now, we have to keep the peace. I'm not interested in creating more misery for myself. And making cordial conversation is something I can manage. Huh? Wait.
This light. It looks similar to those saplings. What could it be?
Anonymous data.
Hey, don't you forget the agreement. You have to share it with us.
Shh. Just wait.
Mr. Niwa, are you certain this is worth the risk? We are talking about Tatarasuna's furnace, after all. It may not pay to act rashly.
There's no one else who can enter the furnace. It has to be me.
Is that so? Well, since you insist.
It's...
I have been in Tatarasuna for some time now. You have shown me great hospitality, as has Mikoshi Nagamasa, and indeed, everyone else.